Hast du dich schon eingewählt?
Ja, wird schon.
Ja, Gott wird keine Freude haben mit dir, wenn du den Mager essen willst.
Wegen deiner Mutter.
Was ist mit dir?
Magst mich nicht. Ich fürchte mich tut's.
Jetzt geht es, wird schon.
Siehst du nicht, dass das aber blöder wird?
Die wird sich schon einfinden. Gibst du dir ein wenig Zeit?
So, first of all, congratulations on the movie. I loved it. It's very, very harrowing, but very poignant at the same time. I'm very curious, what was it about this concept of the devil's bath, which is kind of like the old-fashioned term of falling into depression or falling into the devil's bath. What was it about this concept that you thought would make a great idea for a film, and also this setting? Were you always going to set it in the 1750s, or did you ever contemplate maybe changing the decade to an era where you had more historical evidence of kind of the setting? Because I know there wasn't a great deal of evidence, of historic evidence for this setting, no?
Yeah, so the first thing that inspired us to do that movie was like a podcast in which Kathy Stewart spoke about suicide by proxy, which she was researching, and we were baffled because we had never heard of that. And it was like an ongoing phenomenon in that time all over Europe. So we were intrigued and did further research and talked to Kathy, who gave us like court protocols, interrogation protocols of actual cases. And there is one that the movie is mainly based upon, and that took place at 1750 in Upper Austria. So that's what we based the script and the film upon, and that's actually what determined the time this should be set in. I mean, there were ideas of having maybe an epilogue that's set in the present time, because like the film for us is still relevant and talking about today. We decided against and hoped that the film would still connect to audiences.
And you're right, of course, there are not many historic sources about ordinary people or about the women's world at that time. So we had to kind of make a lot of research. There were 3 historians involved. We kind of tried our best to kind of collect as many facts as possible about that time. But the main source, of course, is this court protocol, because it gives insight which you don't have about those people usually, because she talks about her ordinary life, about her fears, about her hopes, about money issues, and so you get a great kind of portrait of a woman from that time, and it doesn't exist actually in that detail. Also not in Germany. I think this is the most detailed one. Yeah.
So that was what we're actually. It made it, of course, difficult to make a film, but films are like, we always choose like great difficulties to then overcome, because we just felt it would be interesting and very necessary to make a film about this specific woman.
It's quite curious. I saw it. I don't know. I can't remember who it was, but I saw this guy on internet, and he broke down in his car saying that he couldn't deal with everyday life, and he just wishes he could go back and live in the past in the forest. And I thought, if you've seen this film, you wouldn't be crying about what you're living with today. So now I was going to say, so when you were making the film, did you find yourself drawing a lot of comparisons? Like you said, you were thinking of maybe a preface at the beginning of the film, maybe to tie it to today's kind of way of life, but then you realized that you didn't really need to do that, because it kind of feeds into that itself. But was there anything that when you were making the film that you kind of wanted to really kind of tie into to today's way of life?
I think like for us, the most dangerous thing when doing a period film or a historical film is that it ends up being a cliche or a reproduction of something that nobody in the first place actually knows how it would have been. Like, nobody has lived in the past, so nobody can say 100% how it felt. So we felt the most important thing is that our characters, although they're living a few hundred years back, they're still human and ordinary human beings like us. They're afraid, they're happy, they're sad, they're just experiencing something very similar that people nowadays could also experience. I think that was like the main one of the main.
But I think, it was back then the pressure of church or the dogmas or religious dogmas. And this kind of pressure might have changed to our days. In Austria, it's not religion anymore who puts pressure on us, but it's maybe the capitalistic society. So I understand this guy you mentioned. He wants to go back to the woods in another day. I understand the move. I understand the mindset, but
there was different pressure going on in that time, and it wasn't more difficult, but it wasn't easier. I think it's just like it changed, but people never got to be really free and free in the sense that they can do what they want and be the person they want to be. And it's not much easier nowadays, we think.
And for us, The Devil's Bath is also a film about a person who does not function as the person is supposed to function. So this is a very modern, I think, very modern theme too. So Agnes, when you read the protocols, she's a perfectionist, and she always believes she's not good enough in whatever she does. If it's cooking or working, she's not fast enough, she's not good enough. And I think this goes for a lot of people nowadays too, that we have to do so many, we have to fulfill so many tasks, and we are very often not good enough, or feeling not being good enough, or not
so much peer pressure going on.
Do all of them. Yeah, and it's getting worse actually. I mean, I'm getting older maybe, but to me, I really think it's even gets more challenging. Yeah, I think this is a very modern theme. Like
everything needs to be as efficient as possible, and like you need
to function.
Yeah, you need to have 3 jobs in order to sustain your life, and if you don't, you think, oh, it's my fault because I could basically achieve everything if I tried hard enough, and that's sort of a very dangerous lie, because like it's good that people are trying, but it's not true that everybody can achieve everything, because like that's not true, because people who have most of the money, they will of course want to prevent sharing it.
Mm-hmm. And something, I mean, it was very, very brave of you to take on this particular kind of, it's not, I was going to say a subgenre, but it's not a subgenre. It's I mean, I don't want to give too much away, so I won't say what we see in the film, but it's a specific subgenre that really goes down a very, very dark rabbit hole, which very few people have tried to tackle. So how did you tackle this cautiously? Or did you feel you didn't need to tackle it cautiously because it was so authentic?
You mean I'm not like also without wanting to give so much away? Are you talking about the scene of violence, or
very much? Yeah, there's one particular scene at the beginning and one towards the end as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Things that people don't usually like to see in films.
Yeah,
but
I
think that you felt that this needs to be shown for a reason, though, in this film.
Yes, I think that's totally true. I mean, we don't show it for the fun of it or just for the shock of it, but I think it is just very horrifying, and it should feel very horrifying to an audience to watch such scenes. It would feel like betraying the facts if it was feeling more pleasant in a way. And I think, of course, that has nothing to do with shooting those scenes, because that's a different matter. Because during a shoot, of course, everybody has to be okay and good for everybody to produce that. But the end result should still be very unpleasant for the audience to watch.
If you show some killing, and it's and at the same time this is entertaining, or this is a hypocrite, right? It's like if you show a killing and you take it seriously and you want to tell something about it, it should be hurtful or painful in a way, because it is. And I think so.
And it's also for us what was important, because this character's journey, I think she's somebody we can understand and relate to, and we like her. And then she does like atrocious things, And still in the end, with her confession, I think she gets our love and understanding back, at least up to a point. And I think this very huge journey, in a way, was also something that we were interested in, because I don't know, it's most of the times things in movies are very easy. So it's very easy to point to the bad guy and say, okay, it's that guy's fault that everything went wrong, in a way. And that's why we don't have any bad guys, or at least we don't hope we have any in the film, because it's a bigger thing. It's like it's religion and it's society that actually makes those people behave the way they do. There is not one or two bad guys. So there is also no easy solutions. And I think like the complexity of that, and also the complexity of emotions that you're repelled and drawn to this lead character, because you hate what she does and you still understand her and you still feel with her. That complexity is something that we really wanted to achieve and have in the movie.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's a very important fact. It wasn't something that I thought about, but these scenes that we see, that the things that she does because she feels it's what she has to do to be able to kind of repent in a way, if you will, or to get to in the right direction, is something that's very relevant today. Because I was reading in the production notes that I think it was the historian that you did research with. She said that it's something that's very present now with people, kind of like they'll try to get shot by a policeman. As another reason, or maybe acts of terrorism. Some people will perform acts of terrorism for the same reason. Was that something that you felt was very important to kind of portray in the film, to bring it to the present day?
I think like we even thought about including a scene or an epilogue that was set in present time, let's say with maybe a suicide bombing, and then it just felt too much because it's so much Agnes's story and we're emotionally so involved and invested that it felt wrong to have an epilogue. But yeah, I think it's definitely, the film is a starting point for conversations about like those things still happening today. And I think yeah, it still happens like in places where religion and religious dogmatism is very strong. Like you don't see any other way out. And like if you want to commit suicide, and by your religion can only do so if you kill somebody else or other people, then people, if religion is that strict and that important, they will still go that route and take that decision. So I think it's still relevant, like in some parts of the world, definitely. And for us, like in our country or in our countries where religion is not that important or that strong anymore, we still think that the pressure that people feel, like those perfectionists who then slowly descend into depression due to the pressure that society puts on them, I think that's still very relevant in our arts.
Mm-hmm. And also, before I wrap up, I didn't realize this, but Anya, the person who plays Agnes in the film, initially you wanted to bring her on board as to write the music for the film, no? But then, because she felt so strongly about the story when she read the script, she came to you that she wanted to be involved in this, maybe as the actress, and she ended up becoming the actress. Because she had a lot of background.
No, we came to her. She didn't. She just.
Oh, you went to her oh, right. Okay.
No,
She
she wrote us a letter back. This is correct. And how strong she felt about Agnes and the whole topic. And then we thought, oh, okay, she might be maybe even our.
She knew things about the world and this character just due to maybe her family history and her own like psychology.
Past, no, yeah, I read that she worked on a farm and things like this. No, and her great grandparents have been very much in this kind of regime. No.
And we wanted, Agnes to be a person who maybe, like, let's say today could have been an artist, because she's very sensitive. But back then it was like not a quality that was looked for. It was just like she sees beauty in the world that nobody else sees, and her talents go unnoticed in a way. And Anya we could imagine if she had lived hundreds years back. She's very sensitive, and maybe people would have equally not seen her amazing talents. So I think she could relate to that also.
If you ever listen to her music, there's a strong recommendation to listen to her music.
Yeah, because her real name is it Soap and
Skin?
Soap and Skin. No, that's right. Yeah, that's her stage name. No, that's right. Yeah, but no, I was going to say, but you said she's a very sensitive person, no? But because she felt so strongly about this role, I mean, most actors are able to switch it on and switch it off, but because she felt so, it resonated so strongly with her. Did she go through a tough time? Because I know she really went beyond the call of duty for the role, and she took ice baths and really got into the role now. So was it difficult for her to switch on and switch off?
Yeah, it was definitely not switch on, switch off, but it was for her also, I think, too important to be something that can be switched off easily. So
kind of a journey, I think, for all of us. So we were in this together. Of course, she was the main main source, main how do you say, like energy point. But yeah, you know, it already started like a year ago when we started a year before the shoot. So we were like getting to know each other better and talking a lot about the film. And she was giving us ideas or adding ideas to her character. So it was kind of a, you know, growing into this world together. And
it's like the film doesn't, with our actresses and actors, the film doesn't start with the shooting and it doesn't end with the end of the shooting, but it starts way before and it goes on still. Like, for example, with Goodnight Mommy, with the twin boys, we still see them on a regular basis and they became friends and we really like each other. And with Anya, she quickly became a friend and she will stay one. And that has nothing to do with when the work ended. So the work or our lives being connected will go on into the future.
Brilliant. Well, listen, that's a great note to finish on. Listen, it's always a pleasure to speak to you. I wish you the best of luck with the film, and I hope to speak to you again sometime soon. All the very best.
You.
Cheers, then. Thank you.
Den verstoßt mir nicht in die Höhlen.